For the last 8 or 9 years, Tasmanians have been pitched a story which has now turned into a major scandal, and that is Battery of the Nation and Marinus Link.
The Marinus Link.
On the Marinus project.
So-called Battery of the Nation.
Marinus Link.
The Battery of the Nation.
Marinus project.
Marinus Link in the hands of the government.
Incompetent management at Marinus Link.
The whole Battery of the Nation Marinus Link project was announced in 2017 by Prime Minister Turnbull and Premier Hodgman. It was the same time as Prime Minister Turnbull also announced Snowy 2.0. When the Marinus Link was first announced, it was not a project in its own right. It was an enabler, if you like, an extension cord. It was to facilitate Battery of the Nation, that is Tasmania becoming a major storage facility to balance the rollout of renewables on the mainland. The Marinus Link was going to be 2 cables of 750 megawatts. Now it's 1 cable and twice the price. We're in excess of $5 billion. They lied to Tasmanians and said it would bring power prices down, that Tasmania had a competitive advantage with renewable energy, and what's more, it would bring millions into the state.
What this means is more power, lower electricity bills, and more jobs.
That is now completely defunct because chemical batteries have taken over on the mainland. For the last 5 years, we've had huge batteries roll out. Solar and wind farms on the mainland have in many cases built their own batteries behind the meter, so they generate their energy, they store it in the battery, and then they wait for peak times, and then they flood that market with their power at the peak times. Tasmania cannot compete with that. It is not going to bring millions into the state because the rules of the national electricity market mean that we are just not going to be eligible for all those profits that they keep pretending will come from arbitrage. Nobody actually interrogated the figures, nor did people go and look at the ecological damage that this would do to Tasmania. These transmission lines that they want to build mean that they will be decimating wild places like Robbins Island behind me, the last remaining habitat of a disease-free Tasmanian devil population. In the Central Plateau, we are seeing more and more threats to our threatened birds. We are not seeing any understanding in Tasmania that biodiversity and climate are 2 sides of the same coin, and that is the context in which people need to start looking at Battery of the Nation and Marinus Link. And it's why the Bob Brown Foundation commissioned Bruce Mountain many years ago, and we asked him to have a look at this project and see if it made sense in terms of the national electricity market, in terms of the conversion. He came back many years ago and said, no, it's not economically viable and it won't bring down greenhouse gases. As of that point, the Bob Brown Foundation pursued this vigorously. Now we have had a further update on his report, and what that has demonstrated very clearly is Tasmanian power prices will go up because we are borrowing vast amounts of money for an infrastructure project that we don't need. And for what? To land us up with debt and to land us up with higher power prices. It's a scandal that needs to be stopped immediately, and that's why we'll be calling on the Commonwealth, Minister Gallagher, the Minister for Finance, asking her to stop any further money coming to Tasmania until they investigate Tasmania's misleading and deceptive conduct when it came to negotiating the loan funding.